Hey everybody, welcome to the stream, welcome to the close, and it is an interesting day because we have a mixture of results. We've got some monster gains coming out of obviously the Microsoft, the Enphase, Spotify, Google. Turns out that the Google report is better received than even I thought. It goes up about 5% there. But we're just going to quickly talk about obviously Q3 earnings beat data so far. The beat's actually pretty good here. Beats 344, misses 89. So as a broad spectrum, I guess you would think this is pretty damn good. Basically, this is what we usually expect in markets. Around a 75 to 85% beat rate is very good. That's the level that we need it to be at. Remember, we talk about 7 to 8 being the key zone in terms of optimism. So if you're getting a beat rate that's consistent with this, it's actually positive towards the markets. Now, you're probably asking yourself the question, well, how is everything down then? How is everything going down? I think it was going to go down anyway. And I think what's happening here is we've got a massive disconnect between the Nasdaq today and the US 500 purely because, three of the stocks in it are just so bullish. Tesla, Google, Microsoft. They're just so bullish. Amazon also holding its ground and Apple coming in lackluster. So if it wasn't for the big Fang stocks, a lot would be down today. There's no doubt about that. We'd be probably down about 0.5% plus on the NAS, and all of a sudden everything would be red instead of green. I think that's a huge thing. Paul Scalio says, Tom, congrats on the Enphase. Yeah, look, the Enphase has been pretty good. The Enphase has been pretty good. That's a fairly large TP hit for it, in my opinion. We hit the top end of the range here, 220. Look, we've been focusing on Enphase for way too long, and it's come good, which is nice. But again, you just move on to the next one. Is there another opportunity? Absolutely. Is Enphase still got potential to go up after this earnings? Yes. I just think that it's hit the first massive take profit. I mean, 220. I know it went higher. What did it go to? It went to wait a second. Let me just have a look here. 225.28 for the high, or 225.40. It's a very big high, but you can't be greedy. You can't always predict every single thing. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. It's certainly a good one. It's certainly nice that it's gone into the level. I'm not sure what I feel about it now. If we go and have a look at the 10, this is where the real discussion point comes in about what do you do with something like an Enphase. So Enphase is a big part of this kind of position because, of course, it is in the solar index, and it's a big breakout. No doubt once this thing closes, this is a fairly significant breakout. It's been sitting in a channel for a long time, and then we move on to the next range over here. So pretty damn big across all of the solar ones. EMPH is too small to trade, short covering. Yeah, it was probably not really a trade. Well, it had trades, and it's not that small. I mean, Enphase now is $29.48 billion. It's not exactly too small. I usually like to trade in the American market. If you can get into investments around that 2 million to 5 million range, 5 billion range, it's pretty good. And if you get into the trades, like in terms of trading daily and stuff like that, you really want to be looking at that $100 billion plus range. And the main reason is you need the liquidity. So let's talk about the broad markets here. Let's go through each one of them. So we look at the S&P 500. Literally, if it wasn't for a few stocks, this thing would be down across the board here. This is the second bearish day. So we've got here what we would guess call the shooting star or the pin bar candle. We saw that happen yesterday. By itself, it is not that strong, but when it's backed up with another bearish candle, it's kind of pointing towards, let's hope, something like this. Now, a lot of people would like this trade, as in it comes back down to the 20 moving average, comes back down to the previous 4490, 4500 area, finds a bounce, fills a few gaps that are here on the left-hand side, which remember, they're not going to show in the futures market. But if we move over to the SPX here for a second, or SPY, there's a couple little gaps in here that have occurred. So there's a gap, there's a gap. We know that these up gaps tend to fill. I believe there is 4 major gaps here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where we're at right now. So if we came down like this, it would fill those zones. Still think that the market itself is looking pretty positive, though. Thank you very much to the almost 400 people that are joining us. We'll talk about the crypto market in a minute as well, because the crypto market really is tanking. And that's where the bigger discussion, I think, is at this stage. Let's just go through some more. Tesla still finding weakness up here, even though it keeps strengthening and then finding the weakness. Do expect some consolidation after that move. Remember, the Hertz discussion is more of a sugar rush. The overall positiveness is good. So that's a massive tick for investors. The traders, though, what are you thinking? What are traders doing here? I personally think it's probably one of those things you stay away from for a little bit, wait for some consolidation, and then get back in on the concepts. Finkin79 says, except for everyone's favorite SHIB, is that thing still going long while the rest is going bad? Tesla holding up the S&P. I would say today it's more about these two. Microsoft, 324.11, up 4.52%. Very big. I mean, we saw the aftermarkets trade. I think it was around here or something in aftermarkets, 315. Another $10 on top of that. And the surprise one is the Google pull. This Google movement is very large, 5.72% here on Google. So a really, really, really large pull there on that stock. Keep going down. Got Spotify as well, doing very well. That's gone back up. It's closed above this area the other day. Earnings obviously not as bad as people were expecting. And it's straight into resistance here for Spotify. We'll talk about quite a few stocks. We do have some pretty big negative ones. Obviously, we've got the Twitters. We never like Twitter's earnings. No one likes Twitter's earnings. The stock market hates Twitter's earnings. It's traditional. It's become almost a sport at this stage that Twitter will have bad earnings and then it will come down. So the next level, is this the buy the dip situation? You've got here a little bit of previous resistance. Not that much across the board. What price are you looking at on Twitter if you're looking at anything at all? I could see this going all the way down to the $50. It's traditional for this thing to get caned after earnings. Caned after earnings. This is the best earnings they've had in a while. This one was a caning a little bit in terms of after. This one caned here, not very good. Here, not very good. Here, or surprise, then caned after. So what do you think? 50-ish? Yeah, Burak says 49.50. That would be a highlight zone for me. I'm going to actually put the highlight in for everybody. I'm going to look at this area here. And what, of course, you're looking for from a technical perspective is lightning bolt changes. So you're basically looking for these types of movements on one of the smaller time frames. You always want to check that out. Nasdaq, you can't really use this as the market index at the moment to make decisions because the Nasdaq is moving due to the Microsoft Google situation. We will always have Apple coming out with massive earnings. And just to quickly recap today's earnings, we've got Ford, Teladoc, Twilio, Upwork, eBay coming out after. Some big ones there. Let me just load up Boeing. I haven't actually seen that yet. So slightly negative. Ooh, not the fantastic closure if it got down here. We know how we look at Boeing. Basically, we have that big downward trend line. If we break to the positive side of that, that is a big tick of approval because at this point, this is the downtrend. And a lot of people can see this support, I would hope, and know that it's very important it holds here. But after earnings, I would like to see it do this. And if it can do this, break through, then I think that's the first step of repair. And that's where, it really starts to come a lot stronger. Very, very big level for it. Have a look at Twilio coming into the earnings. A little bit of negativity coming in. It's hit the resistance. We know where the support is. This is the middle ground. For a lot of people, this will be an entry price, but earnings itself is scary. So this is because you've got a 20 and a 50 exponential moving average on the daily, no slouch, acting as dynamic support. Plus you have the previous little bit of resistance, and this will be a fib pullback as well. So this is one of those zones where people get very, very interested in finding, I guess, the opportunity for them to show that they want to be in it. It's in that 38 to 50 zone. You guys know we love that pullback kind of area. 2050. It's very risky because of the earnings, but that's why it's sitting in this area right into the close, exactly on a very heavy support. If bad earnings comes out, the next level would be here. If good earnings comes out, you could even wait for it to get through this zone and then look for that participation phase. It's a very important resistance, that 370-ish resistance. It's been hit once, twice, 3 times now. So 1, 2 over here, and then 3. That's pretty damn big level. Breaks through, lots of runway to the top. So that'll be a big one. Can we do BTC before the markets close? Sure. We can do that. I assume you're trading, not BTC. You're probably trading one of the ETFs. Yeah, we'll look at BTC. So for me, it's gone through pretty key support. It's going to get this closure, it looks like. So let's have a look here at the 8-hour time frame. 8-hour, very important time frame on Bitcoin or on the coins in general. 50 exponential moving average is slapped. The 59,600 has been closed below. And now you start to question yourself and say, okay, well, what does this mean for Bitcoin? Is this just a standard correction in the coin market? I would say yes, most likely. If we take the distance here, you'll notice that we've got the head. So this is the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. I'm not going to trade it like that. I've explained the way that I do it, and I'm not really going to change the concept. So I'll show you the concept on the daily. We scroll over here. We take the distance. So this is what I call like basically legs, in my opinion. Some people will call it, and they'll use different theories on it. I just like it when it works in symmetry. So we have the first move. The first move turns into the second move. Now, you'll say, but Tom, it overshot. Yeah, it did, but this is like one of those euphoria blow-offs. So this is where everyone starts getting in. Do you know how many people contacted me that have never been in coins again and said, oh, I think it's time to get in? Interesting. Happens every time. Happens every time. That Bitcoin thingy, they say. What about that Bitcoin thingy? And I'm like, oh, wow, that's time for you to think about that 20% fall. So the market, of course, has gone up like this. So it went down this far previously. What do our expectations become? Maybe a pullback down to the same zone. If it goes up a similar distance, why not pull back a similar distance? And now that it's underneath the 60,000 area, and it looks like it's closing, our next area of support resistance makes sense around here. We've got a daily 50 exponential here. We have the previous resistance high. We have a lot of chop in here around that 54,000. So I would like it to go bam, consolidate, pull up, tick of approval coming into the end of the year. And let's think about the timing as well. I'm pretty sure the timing is perfect. If we go back to previous years, so let's think about the 17 cycle, which a lot of people are focusing on. 1 second, let's bring this up. Which BTC contracts? Maybe Coinbase's. Yeah, that's got enough history in it. So if we have a look at the 2017 run, check out this. Here we go. So we had a couple of little pullbacks here. We had the first pullback that happens around that 20th of October. Then it ramped into the start of November. Then it pulled back, did that bigger percentage, which was here. And then, of course, the rest was gravy. So it actually turned around fully around the 12th, and then just kept going up and up and up. So there was some instability that happened around the 20th or late end of October. And there was, of course, that instability at the beginning of November. Let's just say we're here right now. If that's where we are and we gain the pullback now and we're following a similar path, let's just say of strength in that November, December period, which I tend to believe a lot of people have been calling it. A lot of banks are even starting to say it, which is good and bad. I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But one thing about it is I always think that whenever you've got everyone thinking something, it tends to happen. Let's see if everyone in the chat's big brain here. We've got 500, 600 people here. What tends to happen before? What tends to happen when everyone thinks something? What will happen most likely? It still might happen, but it'll generally cut short. So what I mean by that is here, it's around that middle of December. Obviously, the alts went into January. If everyone expects it to happen at a certain point in time, and then the alts happen, it usually stops a little bit earlier. It's always traditionally a little bit different. Early or late, says Bob Hayes. Yes, 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 yes. Bob knows. Bob, you've got it, man. Good work. That is correct. Am I concerned about this pullback? Not personally. I actually clipped a little. ADA surprising. Look how bad ADA is. Back down to that super support area. If it doesn't hold this, here we go, 140 town. And if we get 140 town, then maybe it's actually looking interesting again. I think this was a well overhyped coin. Too much overhype. And that is unfortunate. Not sure if you like Elliott waves. I don't. Not personally, because I think you can't wave everything. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure someone's done it very successfully and caned ass on it. But for me, yes, it's an ABC. However, I don't usually use it that way. It's like anything, I don't even care about patterns that much, do I? I care about the story coming into it. And once you start to read it like that, I find it to be an easier market to understand. Amazon. I want to talk about Amazon. We will go back over the markets. I understand that is a big thing. What about BA? We did BA just before, Abe. So BA is on technical support, but I prefer it when it recovers through the trend line. That's one of my favorite techniques. Wait for the trend line recovery and pick up positions if that's what you so choose. Let's have a look at Amazon. So Amazon's coming into earnings. We know that's only a day away now. This is a super level for it. We've got 12 minutes to the close here. Super level, super important zone. We've talked about this to death in terms of the fact that we think that there's a seasonal here from a stat side of things. There's a seasonal. There's a recovery story. We've seen the beginning of the lightning bolt, which we liked a lot. We've seen the pullback to the key zone, which we liked a lot. Will Amazon's earnings stack up? We don't know. Is this a key pivotal point before, of course, the earnings happens? Absolutely. This is where the closures happen. We get a closure above here. After earnings, all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot more ramp in here. And this is one of what you're really thinking about. In trading, in technical analysis terms, or even in earnings terms, think about it from the perspective of just what happened on Google and Microsoft and Twitter. Twitter was down 6%, up 2% after hours, then down 10% today, whereas Google was down 3%, then now it's up 5.71%. Is that really replicatable replicatable growth for you over the long term if you do those types of trades? You could have got slapped around quite a lot, especially if you have futures market action. So you've got to be careful there. Let's take a look at TDOC. This one's coming in with earnings. Going to be quite scary, I think, for TDOC holders. They need to see the road to recovery, cheaper acquisition of patients, ideally, of new clients effectively. We have seen the first level of recovery, which is the downward trend line, which for many people is going to be a scaling opportunity to potentially start to think about their position. But ultimately, this one is a earnings story. And the reason it is because we go over to the weekly and you can clearly tell this thing was riding high, $300. What a fall from grace, hey? Down 55%, at the worst, down 60. Ouch. How's Crude looking? I'm done with Crude for the time being, but I stated that the other day. $82. Let's go to the 4 hour. Yep, it's showing the weakness. That's fairly significant weakness here. Peak, trough, lower peak, lower trough, 50 exponential. Looks like it's going to get slapped for the first time in this entire ramp. See how it's held the whole time. This is a very important close. Happens in 2 hours. And overall, I expect oil to consolidate. And if it's going to move back up, we'll look at it later. Birax's Snap lost another 6%. Not good. Yeah. So let's take a look at the Facebook trade, because the Facebook is probably, I think, the one that's really leading a lot of this sentiment. This broke underneath 320, now opens up 300, and we'll put a rectangular zone in there. Might set an alert for this one as well. I think the 300 is a very key pivotal area. This was another one that was earnings, nightmares. That's why it was up. I mean, remember the futures market, as the market digested it, if we were watching together, it was right here. And then now it's come all the way back down and closed below. So, yeah. Bob Hayes says Doge is now the second biggest meme coin. Oh, my goodness. So the SHIB is overtaken it. What if those guys held SHIB? Let me just look at SHIB. Wow. Wow, that's a big move. I can tell you I'm not on this trade. Whether that's smart or not, I don't know. I guess not. Would have been pretty nice to be on it. That's all right. I don't like these types of things. If I'm going to use these types of coins, it's basically, you would say it's a YOLO. So you would basically put a risk against it. Let's say it's 1K, 2K, whatever, $200. You put it in, and you don't even have. I mean, this is one of those ones that if you're placing down here, you wouldn't even have a stop loss on it, because it would just be all lost. Playing with fire, yeah, it is. I mean, eventually it'll go like that, and we all know it won't hold this value forever. It'll be very much based on sentiment, more so than even the other coins. Slow and steady is nothing wrong with that, guys. It's more replicatable. This is what happens to everybody. They get into trading, they get into these things, they make a ton of money, they think they're invincible, and they lose it all back. We all know that's the way it is. I'm sure there's a few. Give us your stories, guys. Well, you don't have to tell us a story, but has that happened to you? Let us know in the chat. Can we have a look at AMD? We surely can. Oh, wow. That's crappy close. Likely that's a short from a perspective of these two closes. That's right at the peak. That's a shooting star focused by another shooting star. Not a common occurrence. Not a common occurrence. Generally speaking, that is weakness. You generally want follow through if you're a day trader in the next session. So you want the follow through into the weakness. Shorting ain't easy, guys. So don't try it really unless you have been around for a long time. But this is definitely a weakness style candle. For an investor, you're not going to care about it. And I think that's the important thing. Do you care about this as an investor? Well, you might have said as an investor, I'm going to scale a portion out when I hit the high and look for a pullback. That would be a valid strategy, back down to maybe like a 112 or something, or the 20 moving average. But that is not, a strong looking candle setup. Mostly a weakness. Bob says still more fair than the lottery. And that's true. I mean, if you were going in one of those coins, and I think that's what some of these alts have been. I mean, I've got a few, don't get me wrong. I have some coins that probably won't make SHIB types of percentages, but I have some that have, I guess money in them that I don't really care about. They're just sitting there. Tweezer top. That's right, Phil. Correct. Visa getting destroyed. Let's have a look at Visa. Another one that was stronger after hours, and then all of a sudden now down 6.86%. Jeez. I mean, I do not have any interest. That's a technical breakout before the earnings too. It looked good on the charts. Technical breakout. I mean, I do not buy this thing. I don't buy MasterCard or Visa, and I don't think I'll own them again, probably ever, unless there's some really big change that I see in this company. But yeah, you're right. All the way back down. It's actually going to close underneath support again. Another bearish kind of market signal in terms of these stocks. So it's really just the Fang holding everything up. You look through all these stocks right now and you think, okay, is there anything that looks bullish? PayPal coming into our green zone. We now start to look for the turnaround story here on this. Could be some good value in this one. I don't think it's fair that it's down here in some ways. Valuations come back down. I think Kathy Wood dumping it hasn't helped it. Pretty common she dumps PayPal though. Just remember that. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's the change. She's buying more Square, etc." That's true, but she's always preferred Square. Her holding has never been strong in PayPal. She's owned PayPal and then generally dumped it into buying other positions. This is where I'd be looking at PayPal. We knew once it got through there, it's bad. It's not very technical, so you're more investing here than trading technically. This has not held technicals a few times now. We've detailed that. Let's have a look at DKNG. Still within the zone, within the range. Obviously, that possibly false break to the downside. Well, time will tell whether it was. And earnings, just have a quick look. What else have we got coming in? Ford. Let's check out Ford. For some reason, I was watching Top Gear, and it made me want to buy a Ford pickup truck. I don't know why. I just wanted to buy it. And I was like, you know what? That would be pretty bad in Australia. That thing would eat the fuels. In some ways, America's lucky. You guys get much. I know it's expensive now, but yeah. A damn good value, aren't they? No wonder everyone buys them over in America. The value town is pretty good. This particular stock right now, not positive into the close. We've got here the 2-hour 50. It's closed underneath that. Let's go take a look at the daily. The daily 20. Let's make a new high, come down. Very little we can get from this chart. The positive action, again, when we were interested in it, is here. Oh, what a base, by the way. Congrats. That's a great trade, guys. Great resistance, great closure, great take profit. This is the beauty of technicals. There's only really two excellent trades here. There's an excellent trade here, or if you accidentally got in here, that's fine. And if you get that one, excellent trade to the top. Can you all see that now? Can you see why these are the two best trades, in my opinion, here? You got the beautiful base. You got the closure above the downline. Oh, man, this doesn't get any better. Fantastic, amazing, glorious trading. That is what it is. I have to apologize. I don't have too many stock closes here for you this morning, but do join us tomorrow. There is a reason. Unfortunately, you probably saw my cat yesterday, and I don't know what it did, but basically it accidentally fell off our second story, and it was pretty brutal on it last night, unfortunately. So I'm watching it right now. Oh, I did not get the chance to do as much research as I wanted to on the market, but that's sometimes how it is. Let's take a look here at gold. So gold turns around 1782. That little support. Very nice. To close. We are closed now. Market sold off into the close, guys, and earnings are coming. I know I'll check that out in a second. It's actually a little 2-hour here. I just wanted to show you a little bit of a rejection coming off the base. That's 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection. Show some strength here in gold. I'm not in gold very much yet. I want to go in late November, December from the seasonal perspective and find the technical with it. I am always going to use the technical first and foremost. So let's just talk about these two markets coming in. US 500, US 100. US 100 should never have been very strong. So US 100 should have never been very strong. Basically, we didn't expect that both Microsoft, Tesla, and Google's would hold it up that heavily. This, again, weakness looking candle. Let's take a look here at the daily on the US 500. Again, a weakness looking candle. This is what you guys in some ways should celebrate because it's normal. It's actually not bad. It's pretty normal. And we now focus on, can we get back down to get a bit of a reverse into these key levels for continuation bullishness? Am I bearish on the markets? Do I think this is the beginning of the second coming of correction, crash kind of sections? Personally, I don't. Some people I'm sure will, but these are normal things. When you have a 7-8% up, that's what's going to happen. All right, let's load up some stocks here. Let's get the Teladoc on. Let's get the Twilio on. All right, post market. Let's find out what's going on here, and we'll get 4 on the screener. I do want to just check the McDonald's as well. How was that? I didn't see it yet. How was the McDonald's, guys? Was it bad or good? The Mickey D's, or Macca's as we call it here. Not bad. Consolidation Central on this stock. Okay, that's not too bad. Got eBay as well. eBay doing all right. It's got a breakout on it. Actually doing better than the Amazons. Maybe underappreciated for a little bit longer there. And the closure is weak on, of course, the US 500. PS3 Pawn says bad earnings equals sell, good earnings equals take profit, lol. Mark. Vader says, thought you sounded tired. Yeah, unfortunately I did. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird night. It's all right. We're here to talk about the markets overall. So TDOC's coming in, and it looks like post-market is slightly positive so far. Wow, I'll be super interested in this stock. If they can get a good fundamental story on it, maybe we can. Remember, it's technically deep value by PS ratios. So I'll show you here. Sometimes I like to look at the stocks like this. All right. So if you think about where it's been over its time, there's obviously some incredibly overly expensive PS ratios, which is often how a hyper stock is figured out. If you take a look at the previous kind of hype, let's say 15. So let's say this should be valued at 15, theoretically, if it's in growth. It then gets valued around that kind of 10 area for a while, and then goes up to the ridiculousness. So when you're up in the ridiculousness, you know that its time is numbered because of the style of business. But when it gets back down into that 10 ratio, you're starting to say, okay, well, maybe that's actually fair as can be. And you start to think, okay, once we get the sentiment getting better, sentiment being most important thing, it does improve. Remember, you don't have to be a rocket scientist anymore to look at some things. If you're going to do fundamentals, you can go and, of course, forward project out, EBIT, all these types of things, figure out what's going on. We'll do a session eventually on it, but yeah, you don't have to do too much madness. You just have to look at the stats over time in terms of valuation, make a assessment based on how you're seeing it, and go from there. People getting angry about the SHIB. Yeah. The SHIB's pretty good. I wonder how much it is for Shiba Inu dogs. I bet prices are going crazy due to demand. Looks like good result here from the TDOCs. Yeah, I'm not sure how much Shib's going to go. Want to get rich? Breed Shibus. Yeah, I saw a Shibu the other day. I said, you got the Doge dog. They said, yeah, yeah, I do. It was an old Doge dog, though. Apple earnings? No, so Apple earnings is on Thursday after the close. Cover. Thursday after the close. Make sure you always get one of these. I would probably say Earnings Whispers has the best little picture of probably most of the companies you care about. So today's Ford, Teladoc, Twilio, Upwork, a bunch of others, eBay. All right, let's get in forward just so we've got it there. Forward up 2.9%. Nice. Clearly not too bad. Let's read on it. Most people seem to be just talking about the market going down today when you're looking at the general Twitters. I don't think it's a huge issue. If you were trading VIX though this week, you've done well. Anyone been the VIX? Betting on the idea of big earnings week pushing the VIX up? Anyone got into this one? Well, it's down at 15. Isn't that funny how it hits the 15 and then it jumps up straight away, just like it has done quite a few times? It's not replicatable forever, guys. Of course, the 15 will eventually go down and under. But isn't that funny? So it looks like the TDOC result is probably out. I don't, for some reason. So here we go. Earnings, reaction history, Teladoc Health, 45.5% follow through indicator. What is this? Insider sell Teladoc Health. Oh, October 19th. Whatever. They probably were just selling it anyway. Does IV always go up into earnings season, especially into the big week? Yeah, you generally get implied volatility increase. We had a look at Shibu, but I don't know what you want me to tell you about Shibu. You can't predict the next key zones other than psychological levels. So Shibu is just a rocket ship. There's not much you can really do about it. Oh, nice. Look at that. Look at the Twilio. Okay. So now we get to see the closure for tomorrow and the follow through. We start talking about that 370 level. Sorry, what is this? Yeah, 370 level. 364 for Twilio coming off the support base. Teladoc being digested. eBay is down. Interesting. Let's now just quickly check out Amazon. Amazon flat. eBay is down fairly hard, 3.59%. I got a I don't know what this is. I've got a tweet here from Zero Hedge, and it says BTC ETH spiking as Coinbase users can't sell them to buy more SHIB. I have no idea what they're talking about there. SHIB must be getting close. T-Doc getting beaten down again? Yeah. Well, they'll be, if the report is out, which I don't have it here yet, the thing with T-Doc is it's all about acquisition costs. So you've got to go look into it. The market hates the acquisition cost that T-Doc's been doing. Forward up 5. Cool. Very nice. CYC not happy with the dump when I buy it, close. Which one? What's dumped? I can't believe Tom dropped his cat. No, I certainly did not. It was pretty bad. It's no, it fell. It's not in good shape. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Anyway. BTC has risen a little bit there. Testing. Let's just quickly look back over to that. I think a lot of interest here on the BTCs at the moment. Geez, I hope it does what I was kind of thinking about, though. Not so much that I'm shorting it. I wouldn't bother. It's too difficult to do it at this market stage. But this is a very important test for it. It's retesting from the bottom up. You can see here now it's got 2 rejections off the 58. Very important fight zone here. You'd almost watch this on the 5-minute for a couple of hours and say, okay, I'm going to check this out and keep watching it. See the fight zone? This is it. This is the zone that a lot of scalpers and day traders will be having zoned up here on Bitcoin. You got your resistance, you got your support, and you got the fight. That's Fight Club right there. This is the danger zone. Yeah, look at them short at the top. When you start to think about most things like this, though, and you do that top-down analysis, I mean, I might do it quick. I don't know. It's become kind of second nature to me. Do I do it ridiculously quick, or are you guys getting up to speed with this? I forgot. Sometimes I forget because I've been doing it 11, 12 years. It becomes quite easy for me. eBay -6 says Barack. Yep. What's the first rule of BTC Fight Club? Don't trade 100 to 1 leverage. That's our first rule. Can you have a look at X? Certainly can. United States Steel. Nice breakout earlier in the week and not a bad pullback, actually. Long leg doji, unfortunately, becomes decision made. This is what I actually wanted because it moved so hard that I didn't mind it to come back down. That was a big, hard move. Like it went just boom, straight out of the gates. We do have earnings, which I'm going to wait for. So that's in 1 day. But we're back at the resistance, becomes support area. This is an very interesting zone. I'm excited for this, but unfortunately, we have to wait for our 1 day of earnings. Great level, fantastic support base, great retest, great everything. Earnings is important here. Twilio came all the way back down. Really? These aftermarket act. Wow, look at what the hell. This post market has been ridiculous. It's almost been like crypto. It's day 3 now. We've seen post market be very erratic. It's not holding. It's like Wall Street has no idea how to price. It's kind of unusual. You've hit a 368 in the post, and now you're hitting a 330. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's why I'm not trading it. That's just ridiculous. That's gamble fest right there. I mean, now all of a sudden we're talking about underneath. Bradley B says algos don't know what to do. I think it's because of the hypervaluations. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing. But to me, that seems very erratic. 368 to 327. That's Facebook, Microsoft to a degree. Well, Microsoft was probably the only clean one. I mean, Google was down 3% after hours yesterday after the result. And now it's up 5. That's a big switch. And I understand these happen, but the problem is it's like this. The algos are gone mad. T-Doc now down 4. So the whole market seems to be probably melting across the board then. Let's go back up to the futures. Yep. If it wasn't for the big cats in the US 100, a lot of these hypers, let's have a look at IWM. What happened there? Let's check out IWM. 223. $223. Well, just straight back under. Hits the 230, hits the resistance, sells straight off. And now we're looking towards that 220. This isn't all bad, guys. It's not all bad. It's opportunity for people that are missing out. I think this is just very standard. We target the zones. We make the right sense. You're far away from the 20. You know, when you get a little bit too far away, you've got to get those pullbacks coming in. Where's the most likely scenario? The 20. Where's the second most likely? The 50. What's less likely? Getting under both those zones. Because you can see it in the past. Daily 50, daily 50, daily 50, daily 20s, daily 50. You've just got to play the standardized game. Beam seems to be consolidating. It does. Beam has cash flow issues. Just remember that. Cool tech. But yeah, cash flow issues here. 96. Resistance and consolidating at this stage. Could come back down. Let me see the bounce. Would love a meltdown. I don't really know if that's going to happen. What's getting hit, Lone Ranger? Which stock? John says got out just before the close. Probably not a bad thing. Hey, I'm not a huge fan on taking into earnings right now. I've said that several times. The earnings are bizarro. In your investment, sure. In your trades, very risky. 132 back on the first support before it went underneath. Wonder if Kathy Wood will ever have to start dumping this. This has got to be her biggest nightmare right now, T-Doc. It has to be her biggest nightmare. I mean, her Tesla seems to be working out. Her Square, to a degree, is working out. Not that great. She's underperformed all year, and T-Doc's just slaughtering her fund. Wow, lunch money is going. Is energy on a downtrend? I would say yes, at least a consolidation. Big run up here in XLE, obviously US oil, big run up, but it hit so close to our 86 level. We talked about it. I had this distance. I haven't changed anything. As you guys know, I had this distance before as we broke out. I'm not saying it can't get 92 later, but it needs, I believe, not necessarily you guys have to believe, that it consolidates. Similar to when we hit 77 over here. I went psycho about 77. You can go back and have a look. Oil has been probably the easiest trade I've had. It's probably been the easiest trade. Oh, a China education stock. Oh, no. That's what he's in. Got smoked chasing Tesla. And don't chase. Never FOMO, man. Try not to FOMO. Have a plan. If you're going to chase a FOMO style position, scale. The reason? You don't get burnt as hard. The only time you can really chase is when you're prepared to drop all that money. If you've got stop losses and stuff, it's not really worth it. Like, I mean, a good example would be a SHIB. Look at this chart. I mean, ridiculous, yeah? Crazy. Congrats. I mean, wow. Some millionaires were made, I'm sure. Today, millionaires were made. There will be people that put in, I mean, what did you have to put down here? Let me get the percentage up. So this was only 3rd of October. Percentage gain is 771%. So theoretically, yeah, you could very well mint yourself $1 million off this right now. If you were lucky enough to hold it and you were brave enough to not scale out. I mean, but that's where scaling can kind of help you. You might have scaled some here, might have scaled some here. And then here you've got that last third position sitting on going, I'm going to ride it through. That just, it smells of a blow up, guys. Let's have a look at the market cap size. That's how we'll figure it out. Where are you, Shib? Okay, so 28.39 billion. How high did Doge go again? It went some ridiculous amount. What was it? 7. When it was at the top, does anyone remember the market cap? I was skitzing about it. I remember it's 50 bill, 60 bill, 60 bill, maybe. Can't remember. Someone will tell me. Darren Jones, $10. Tom, when I asked you about the bull flag on IWM, you were zoomed in too far. I think the flagpole is 94 to 230. And the flag is the range from 231 to 214. IWM 1 week. Can you please look at it again and see if you agree? Sure, man. IWM. So you're going to say the weekly. So you think, I'm not sure if I'm going to call it a flag, but basically you've got the pole here, I guess. So you're saying pole between 90, what? 94. So you're going all the way down to the bottom. I probably can't do that. I would say, I think you've got to take it from the top if you're going to take the distance, and then you would take it if you broke out and say that was your aim, which is about 300. If you take the whole distance here and you say that's the whole pole, very unlikely you'll get that multi-year. I mean, you would take it from the bottom here and you'd say, okay, like 350. I just don't know, man. So you're saying here that you want 231, 214. Let's get rid of all my lines because they'll be clouding what we can see. Go to a monthly for a second. I think regardless, it doesn't really matter whether we call it a flag or we call it a channel or we call it a pennant or whatever you want to call it. It's clearly a consolidation. And when you get a breakout above a consolidation, do I expect a fairly decent ramp? Yes. What's the first target of a consolidation? Regardless, you're looking at this distance. This is a consolidation. So whether you call it a flag, whether you call it a pennant, whether you call it just a standard consolidation with a breakout, it doesn't really matter too much. Would I take the pole length all the way down from the bottom? Probably not. I think it's just a very big multi-gear bagger that's maybe too much of a stretch. But then again, I'll show you something I did do back in the day. Whether it was right or wrong, this is something that I did. I took the SPX, I took a giant channel, I extrapolated that out, and I set that for a portion of target. And I said, okay, that's my multi-year bagger. Now, obviously, the market didn't really come down off that. It kept going. But I did set it as partially part of what I was looking at. Didn't really stop for about, this is a monthly, stopped for about 3 weeks. Kept going up. But you see what I mean, yeah. With IWM, it doesn't really matter if you want to call it a flag or anything. There's no, like a flag in general, it will be a downward trend like this, and then the bottom will also be downward. Remember, it's meant to be a flag. It's meant to be, the idea is it's like that, but it's not quite doing the bottom. Pennants and flags have the exact same take profits. Tom, when are the Vegas dates? I need to tell my wife I'm going to be single. Scott, it's going to be next year, 2022, probably before, like your summer, going into summer, like the spring, I guess, in America. But we can't announce anything because what are we going to do? What about the QQQ? We've done both of those. I guess we'll probably end up here on the QQQ and the S&P. There's not much we can really do at the moment. This is an exciting week of earnings, but unfortunately what it does is it kind of gets that hype and FOMO out of the market to a degree. We consolidate and then we can move forward. You look at the QQQ, at this stage, it looks weak off the top. We're hoping for pullbacks back down to these kind of 20 moving average levels. I would suggest that if you're looking at the QQQ, try to do your charting more on the NDX. I follow the QQQ only because you guys like it. The NDX would be the better one to do. Get clearer price zones and then just extrapolate that out to the QQQ itself. So, because the other one's an ETF, this one here is the real market. It's a bit easier to use. So you got your first support just from a few days ago. And then, of course, you've got some interesting levels in here. Overall, optimistic into the end of the year. Things aren't looking that bad. We've got some big stocks really carrying the market, which is not great for breadth. So do remember today, the Nasdaq was only up because of Tesla, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. And really it was Google, Microsoft, and Tesla that held it up. Wasn't the others. Apple will be the big announcement, hovering around that 150. We'll see how that ends up going. That'll be the huge order for tomorrow. We'll focus in heavily on that one. We've got VIX, of course, spiking to 17. We've got the TLT. So this is the 20-year bonds. You'll notice they suddenly broke through. So 20-year bonds, is this a sign of a little bit of weakness coming in the market? Bonds often show the way here. If people are dispersing money into bonds, can be weakness. So we've got the base, closure above, few days of bond buying, 152, question mark. Microsoft Post, did something happen there? Nothing's happened to Microsoft Post. 323, down 0.02%, very little. We'll end just having a look at all of these. So Tdoc's announcement sucks. Let's refresh here. A lot of people not even talking about them. Everyone just going crazy about SHIB. So Tdoc, disappointing in the close. 131 support hit. Twilio, a wild post-market session. Went up to 370, which we were looking for a closure out tomorrow if that was going to occur. Clearly something has reversed. It's gone down to 305, right into support. That is a nasty, nasty, nasty earnings report that's getting belted. We've got Amazon coming in tomorrow. Oh, it's going to be a big one. And then we've got post-market action on eBay, not so good. So you might want to read that report if you're a fan of Amazon. Go check out what they were doing, if they were losing money in a certain area, if you think it's because there's some competition, etc. That would be good. Across the board, mostly down in a lot of stocks. A lot of the hypers were down. Spot, again, one of the good things. Enphase did very well. X coming back into support, but 1 day off earnings. Johnson & Johnson's been okay this week. Still a good technical there. And then Hyatt coming through with the goods, seasonal, and nice breakouts here on it. So again, doing quite well. Thank you so much for joining us for the close today, guys. Mostly it's about the market really trying to consolidate on the beats and earnings. Remember, in the crypto market, this could be the beginning of a little bit of a 20% drop. So if we take the distance from the top to the bottom, 20% equals the leg down. So will that be where we get to? 50 exponential moving average daily here. What do you guys think? We'll find out soon. I wish you all the best. I'll be making a video a little bit later. I've just got to go do a couple of things first. And thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for liking the channel and appreciate it so much. Bye for now.